Okay, so the subject is multiplication in order of operations, and this is for a fourth grade class. My introduction would be defining terms that we've been talking about, which are things like product, sum, all like different multiplication words that they might be using in the fourth grade. So I would review that with them for a couple of minutes, and then the next section of my lesson is going to be talking about new math rules that they're going to have to know in the fourth grade. So I'm going to pretend that this is my whiteboard, and then I'll just start. Okay, class, so we've been learning a lot about products and things like that when it comes to multiplication. Now, today we're going to learn 3 new rules of multiplication that we can use to help us out. So mathematicians, they make rules for things. In math, there's a reason that things happen. They don't just guess. And long ago, they made rules that would make sense in order to use. So now we adapted those rules. So I'm going to be describing these, and the kids will have their own sheet, a grid that looks kind of like this. This is just a replica of it for this lesson. Okay, class, so the first rule we're going to learn is commutative property of multiplication. And then I'll let them write that down. And what it means is the order of numbers doesn't change the product, which is the answer. And then I'll give them an example, like 4 times 5 equals 5 times 4. So can somebody else in the class give me an example of the commutative property of multiplication?
Me!
Yes, Jill.
12 times 2 is the same as 2 times 12.
Very good.
Thanks, Mrs. Medley.
You're welcome. Thank you. Another side note, on their paper they're going to have another column that'll say in their own words, in my own words, so that the students can write the definition in a way that makes sense to them as well. Alright class, the next property we're going to learn is the associative property of multiplication, which is how factors or numbers are grouped doesn't matter in multiplication. So for example, 2 times 7 in parentheses, so those are grouped together, times 3 is the same as 2 times parentheses 3 times 7. So the order doesn't matter. And what numbers you put in parentheses isn't going to matter. When you multiply them out, you get the same answer. So does somebody else have an example of that?
Oh, me!
Jill?
In parentheses 5 times 2 times 7 is the same as 2 times 7 in parentheses times 5.
Very good.
Thanks, Ms. Medley.
Okay, the last property we're going to learn is the distributive property. This one's a little bit harder to understand. So when you're multiplying the sum or difference of a number, it's the same as multiplying the sum or difference by the number and then adding or subtracting the product. That sounds like a lot, I know. So here's an example of it. So 3 times, because the parentheses means multiplication, right? So we have 3 times 5 plus 2. And a way to distribute that is we are going to multiply the 3 times the 5 and then add it to the 3 times the 2. Okay, so I can show this to you guys easier by drawing it in a little bit. So we're going to distribute the 3 to the 5 and the 3 to the 2. So then we get 3 times 5 right here plus 3 times 2. We can also do the same when we have subtraction in there. We're going to multiply the 3 to the 5, but then we're going to subtract the 3 times the 2. Just like that.
I have an example.
Oh, Jill, what's your example?
2 times the 5 minus 2 times the 3.
In this same problem? Oh, okay, a different... You would have to write that out to show me later. I'll come by your table and you can show me what you're talking about. Okay, Jill?
Thanks, Ms. Medley.
You're welcome. Okay, so now what we're going to do is some practice with this. I have some triangle cutouts for you guys with 3 numbers on them, and you're going to practice writing them out like each property. And I'm going to go around, you're going to do that in pairs. And I'm going to go around and make sure that you guys are all understanding what each property is. Also make sure that you get all these notes down on your grids at your own table, okay? And we're going to work on that for the next little bit. So that's the end.